So take a very small sip, right? It's 90. It'll almost evaporate as it touches your tongue. Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Small sip.
This is so exciting.
Okay.
Cheers,
Yes.
man.
Cheers. Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man. Cool. Comfortable. Everything's rolling. Sounds fine. Yes. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest episode of the Radical Measures podcast. That was me channelizing every Doordarshan anchor I've ever seen throughout my childhood. Because we have a very interesting guest today. We have come to the distillery where greater than gin is made. Actually, we have spent so much money buying this brand where we are from that we decided to find the source of it all, okay? And our guest for this episode is Anand, one of the co-founders of this particular brand. We can't get them all, okay? We are not that big. We got one. That's what we are happy with, all right? For you guys. So please subscribe to the channel. And hey, Anand, welcome to the show, man. First of all, thanks a lot. We know you're brewing a lot of good alcohol, and that is a time-consuming affair.
Yeah.
So to make time for us in your distillery and giving us a pretty kick-ass backdrop, appreciate that, man.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's not a poster at the back.
Oh, yes, this is not CGI, people, okay?
But no, yeah, thanks guys for buying all the gin and bankrolling us basically and making sure that we can
Yes.
make our way through COVID and all that.
Exactly. You're more than welcome,
You
dude.
don't know how much of our way we have made through COVID with greater than.
Yeah, okay, well done. Well done. Well done.
It was a mutually beneficial relationship, Anand. Let me clarify that. A lot of times when I was thinking, will the world end or not, I turned to greater than.
Well done.
You know. So the first thing that I want to ask you is, and this is a question that I've reserved for anyone who's in the alcohol brewing business, your first experience with alcohol.
Wow. First experience with alcohol was, the first one that I can remember is probably somewhere in Janakpuri, walking into like one of those retail stores, like, heart palpitating, trying to buy a
Okay.
bottle of breezer.
Oh.
And you walk up to the thing with a cranberry breezer, and you're like, can I, will
Yeah.
he stop me? Will he not stop me?
Yeah.
And the guy just looks at you, like shakes his head, takes the money and says, listen,
Yeah.
put it in your pocket, there are cops outside.
Yeah.
So that's the one that probably strikes me, yeah.
A breezer is a sort of brand like which it's almost like the first step that you take towards tasting something which has a tiny bit of alcohol in it, you know. And I think the fruit thing helps sell the idea that, hey man,
It's that transitionary drink, no?
Yes.
Where you're going from fruity to.
yes,
This
that is
is the teenager, the puberty of alcohol.
yeah, it is a tiny more fermented fruity version of. Very true.
1 foot here, 1 foot there.
Yeah. And the amount of times that person who looked at you disappointedly, like the amount of phases he has seen, you know, because every consumer is a phase for him. Where you're like, oh, okay, he's a regular 40-year-old guy. I know what he wants. Wrap it up in a bag, give it to him. And then there's this guy who's like, oh, you think this is a big issue? Buddy, this is not.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably one, he probably does this all the time. And
Yeah.
for me, it's this, special occasion. And, like he can probably see me sweating and, all of that happening. But no.
College
I guess,
days?
No, a little bit before.
A little bit before that. See, I always give an out, you know.
Yeah.
I always give an out, like in case that's the case. But so we started around the same time.
Yeah, okay, good.
It's a nice start to have. I have been trying to find a different drink just to broaden the scope of experiences when it comes to drinking.
Okay.
You know, it has been pretty. It has been dictated by norms. You know, your friend circle, people you come across, all of that. Like they are like, try this out or try that out, and it usually starts out with like a couple of different beers. You're trying out a wheat beer and then whiskey. But in the last 2-3 years, when I've been searching for a drink which is refreshing and doesn't make me feel like I'm drinking alcohol. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a whiskey almost has a little bit of burden attached to it. Or maybe that's a phase.
So whiskey has expectations from you, no?
Yeah, it
It's
has
like you
expectations.
don't know how to enjoy me.
Yeah.
It almost tells you that.
Yeah, gin is more of a like, yeah, sit, what's happening?
come
Yeah, talk.
no.
Yeah, chill. it has more of a approachable vibe to it, and that is what gin has basically, and your gin has done for us, because we find this in Mumbai. I was telling that to the other distiller who works here as well. Shout out to Siddharth. That I'm now able to order this at Shetty bars in Mumbai. Before Greater Than, the only option you had was Blue Ribbon,
Blue Ribbon. Yeah.
which is not technically a gin.
Well, technically it is, but we'll get to that.
Technically it is, but I think somebody had told me, like, it's not. But anyway, the point is that Greater Than is something that now I can turn to as far as an option is concerned. So, what drove you to make an Indian craft gin brand along with your co-founders? Like, how did this start?
That's a big question, man. So
It is.
So how it all started was basically many years ago. I mean, but many years ago, I used to work at a company called William Grant's. The big brand that they have is Glenfiddich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? When I started working there, did not like whiskey. And I told them that, and they said, listen, you're in marketing, you'll either learn to like it or you'll pretend.
Yeah.
Fine. But one of the brands they had was Hendrick's Gin.
Okay.
And, we would call people for these launch parties, right? Saying, hey, we're launching Hendrick's Gin, spend a lot of money on it, call the best of the crowd in Bombay, Delhi, all of that. People would come for it, look around, wow, looks beautiful. Can I get a glass of whiskey, please?
Oh, straight
Or
away.
can I get a glass of wine, please? Or can I? And you're like, but I'm giving you gin.
Yeah.
No, gin's not my thing. It's for older people. It's for women. It's for, there were these really weird misconceptions around and myths around gin, and that was 2010,
Okay.
2011.
So that's still pretty recent, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not talking. I mean, how old do you think I am? Anyway, don't answer that. But 2010, etc. That's what was happening. Fast forward to 2015. A colleague of mine was starting a bar, and his experience is all about bars. My experience was all about, wine, spirits. Specifically, I'd gone and studied wine also in 2013.
Yeah.
So he was like, listen, you've learned wine. Do you want to come and help me start this off? It's a wine and coffee bar. It's called Birch. So yeah, sounds good. Now, one of the things we were also doing there was lots of cocktails.
Okay.
And this was in Khan Market in Delhi. So, good crowd coming in and everything. And one of the things we noticed very quickly was people were coming in and saying, hey, can I get a gin and tonic, please? Or can I get a Hendrick's and tonic with 3 slices of cucumber?
Okay, so
And
that
I look at them and be like, where
trend
the hell
was
did you
starting.
come from, man?
Okay.
And where were you 5 years ago when I was trying to sell Hendrick's, shove Hendrick's down people's throat, So that started happening. Our top selling cocktail was a gin cocktail.
Okay.
We were just like, and we would hang around after closing, the bar. So 1 o'clock it would close. By 1:30, 1:45, the staff would also be out. And then we'd hang around, just talk about, listen, what's happening, what are we doing? How can we get more people in? Why are people going to the second floor? The first floor looks great. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about is, dude, did you realize how many people are coming in asking for gin?
Yeah.
Right? It's absurd. It never used to be the case. And he would said, yeah, it never used to be the case before. So there's clearly something happening. And then we just got talking about it and we said, maybe it's just a Khan Market thing, right? Maybe it's these people who are really well traveled and
have exposure of some sort to turn to.
Maybe. And then we spoke to a couple of our friends, who ran places like Summer House, Social.
Okay.
And they're like, it's happening with us also. Yeah, there's something happening, something weird, something's going on, something's brewing.
The rebellion is beginning.
Something. So that's when we started looking at it seriously. We spoke to our investor, who was the investor for Perch, and we were just over a lunch kind of chat. We were just like, it's weird. This thing is happening. And I remember saying that, listen, wouldn't it be funny if we were to start our own brand of gin?
Yeah.
And proceeded to take a couple of bites. At which point he says, why don't you? Here's some money. Go do some research, proper research, and see if it's viable. So that's kind of where this started from.
Okay.
And it's funny because that would have never happened had. So I just before that I'd worked with a company called Remy Cointreau.
Okay.
Great company to work with, but they basically shut down their operation in India.
Huh.
So suddenly we were all jobless,
Okay.
right? Which is why I even thought, okay, maybe it's great, we can do, run a wine bar for a little bit and see how that feels like. And then from wine bar, it again, got this opportunity to do something with gin. So it's just funny that we could, we look back and say, listen, we could not have planned this.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
when you ask
Yeah.
what were we thinking, we weren't. We were just doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I've been trying to understand also what suddenly brought up. Did that question get answered? Why did suddenly the market, it's responding positively to gin around 2015? Like, what, tastes changed because maybe like the amount of millennial crowd which has traveled a bit, has had exposure to different experiences abroad and are trying to replicate it back here, or
A lot of everything. So
Okay.
so there's definitely a lot of people traveling to places like UK, Spain, Singapore, where you've got like a bar in Singapore called Atlas has like 1,500 brands of gin. 1,500 brands of gin.
Okay.
I
Gin
can
gin-
just imagine the inventory
Yeah,
issues when
exactly.
it comes to that place. Oh, you need to have autism for that, dude. You can't do normal math, man.
It's nuts. And so obviously people traveling out and saying, hey, this is not bad, I enjoyed a gin and tonic here. Maybe I'll go back to Delhi or Bombay or Bangalore or wherever and go to my favorite bar and order a gin and tonic there as well. Now, while they have ridiculous kind of options in all these places, they come back home and they find, okay, Blue Ribbon. And then they find, all right, imported brands are there as well, but they're a little bit overpriced because of the kind of customs duty that they have to pay in India,
Correct.
160%.
And 160, huh?
Yeah, 160%.
I thought 100 was the cap, man.
Don't-
Logically, you
percentage
think,
ends there.
why is there
The
more
rest
than-
of this podcast could just be about this.
Oh my god, like how much money
If
we
I-
could have saved
If
till
I-
now.
Where do you guys live?
Mumbai.
Bombay. Still alright. I mean, the guys in Bangalore, man, I don't know what's going on there because
Acha.
160% customs duty, that is just to enter the country.
Huh.
Then you've got additional excise duty for each state, right? So a state like Delhi, for example, it's about almost 100%, again, broadly. A state like Maharashtra, it's about 150, 200%. Which is why alcohol just costs different in each state, right?
Yeah.
A state like Karnataka, it's 400%. So 160% plus 400%. Keep doing the maths, man. It's nuts. So, sorry. It's just
You
nuts.
can't
And
be happy drinking.
we're constantly bitching and moaning about this. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say those words.
Oh, of course, of course.
okay,
Please,
great,
go
okay,
ahead.
please. Let it loose. Let it loose. But yeah, that's kind of where it started from. And we said, listen, we don't, as guys behind the bar, as guys sitting at home wanting a drink, we don't have a decent gin to call our own that we can kind of turn to without breaking the bank.
Yeah.
And the idea was, let's try and make something which is better than what's out there, whether imported, whether made in India.
Yeah.
And try and do it for less.
That's something that you've pulled off wonderfully, man. Like, I must say, the price point is like
Beautiful.
Oh. You found the right place in between, because otherwise, as you mentioned, the other ones like maybe Gordon's or Tanqueray or anything else, like it just becomes a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
And a bottle of greater than becomes accessible, and you can just play around with it, like in the sense that you can get a different sort of mixers, like create a whole evening out of it, man.
Yeah,
Like rather than crying that you spent.
It also lets you explore, because if you've got an expensive gin,
Yeah.
you are like, okay, I'm going to stay with my safe cocktails and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
But
you don't
with
want
greater
to.
than, I'm just like, I'm going nuts. I'm making 3 cocktails.
Man,
and
and that's not just true for people at home, like sitting like around like us, like and saying, oh, I've got a gin and tonic, let me try and put a basil leaf in it and see what happens, or let me try and put a gummy bear in it, see what happens. All those kind of things, yes, but like bars around the country, and Goa has been really interesting because when we started this, The distributor looked at us and said, "You were selling gin. You know, I've been selling Gordon's," and he was the Diageo distributor. I've been selling Gordon's for the last 15 years, and sure, you might do 20 cases, 30 cases a month, but fine, I'll take you on. He currently does about 800 to 1,000 cases for us a month, and every time we meet, we talk about the first meeting. Can you imagine? But bars, if you go to a place like Darling's in Chapora, which is a small, tiny, great pizzas, but tiny bar, right? They've got a wall full of greater than bottles, which is different infusions, right? So they've got 40 different infusions there. And it's just great. You can go in and say, I want the lavender gin and tonic, and they'll pull down that bottle and they'll give you a gin and tonic. Even bigger bars. I mean, yesterday we went to Fig and Maple, which has just opened up in Goa, and again, that talks about how the F&B culture in Goa is just exploding right now. You've got these tiny, small, cute, really, really great fun bars, and you've got these bigger bars and guys coming in from outside. Guys who have bars already in Bombay, whether it be Zumi, whether it be Fig and Maple in Delhi, kind of coming in and setting up shop here as well. So we had this really great pandan gin, which was obviously greater than infused with pandan leaves last night. It was fantastic. It was probably the best kind of infusion I had. And I want to go back there and have another. They made a Negroni with it, which was excellent. It's super great.
Should try. You see, that is basically how you are able to validate a recommendation. Now, when the person who is just like they try to explain it how good it was, and they're like, you should just try it. Like trust me.
Go check it out.
It will take a long time to explain everything. It's good.
You also looked at Siddharth like you were there, right? Just
there. Yeah. So that's a brief history, man, of where we came from.
Because gin is very interesting in terms of the way it is created. A little bit that I know is you take ENA.
What is ENA?
Yeah, extra neutral alcohol.
Well done.
Yeah, which I've done my homework, guys.
Where are the notes?
So you get that, and then you infuse botanicals of different sorts, right?
Yeah.
They can be florals or citrus based as well.
Yeah, sure, they could be anything.
Anything. Usually shy away from spices a bit when it comes to gin, or not necessary to at all.
Yeah.
So what is the first? You guys use juniper berries from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So what's the angle behind that? Because I know Hapusa has juniper, Himalayan berries.
Himalayan juniper berries.
I came across Hapusa, my local wine shop owner.
Yeah.
Great place, Mahalakshmi Wines. What
Shout
they
out.
did was shout out, exactly. And during the pandemic, he suggested, I was asking for a bottle of, greater than in fact. And he was like, there's a new one, like it's slightly bit more expensive, but try it out. If you like this, you'll like that. And dude, Hapusa was an amazing experience. Like the first bottle that I had, even the bottle I kept because it's such a beautiful bottle. Yeah. Like after finishing it, because we like the color and whatnot. In fact, our production team wanted to do a couple of, they did mock photography with it also because they liked it.
Oh, nice.
The shape of the bottle and everything. It's done well. So, what's the travel as far as the choosing your botanicals? Or what was that experience like? Because it was all a revelation at the beginning, right? When you started creating it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we knew nothing about making a gin at that point. Honestly, I was trying to get someone who knew how to make a gin and just hand it over to them.
Yeah.
In fact, we ordered the pot still. It was on its way, and then we realized there's no one in India who has the capability to actually make a gin.
Okay.
So then at that point we said, all right, screw it. We're going to do it ourselves. Managed to meet a guy in a bar in Bombay, and he was behind the bar, and he said, listen, I'd be keen as well. So if you want an apprentice or if you want an assistant, I'd be keen. So two of us basically learned how to make gin. We invited in a distiller from the UK, who at that time, Anne Brock, who at that time was working in a small distillery in London called Bermondsey Distillery.
Okay.
And we'd gone there, and she'd shown us around. We were like, wow, she knows so much. And she's Dr. Anne Brock, so she's done a PhD in organic chemistry. Great.
Yeah.
So we called her up and said, listen, can we bother you? Can you come and teach us how to make gin? She's like, oh, all right, where is this? We're like, Goa. She's like, yeah, coming.
That was like the selling.
This was December, so you can imagine how cold it was in London.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we told her, we want
go
to
in
hear
summer, go in winter.
by February or something. So she came in, but by that time we'd already been experimenting in Delhi, and I can say it now. It's fine. I mean, it was illegal at that point, but it's probably illegal. But it's one of those things.
It's fine. Let's not even get into that. You can just say what it was.
In our spare bedroom, so Aparajita and I, before we had Amartya, who's our 4-year-old now, we had a spare bedroom, right? Where, the laundry would show up and, like this pile up there and, like wait to be folded and, all those kind of things. There we set up our lab still, which is actually behind him. Is that one? Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's a very small.
Yeah, so we set up like a small, tiny.
Years from now, it's going to be like under a glass case with a plaque.
Maybe.
This is the first tell.
Maybe. But we set up that thing and we just started distilling what we could find, So we would literally stepped into our kitchen and whatever we found, we distilled. So coriander seed, cinnamon, star anise, clove, black pepper, lots of things which ended up not being in the gin at the end of the day. But we distilled 120 different spices.
Man.
Like separately.
Separately. And then we mixed and matched. And then, we would have, like bartender friends and just guys who like drinking gin. And we'd get them together at Perch because, why not? And we'd be like, all right, try these 6 gins. And, we'd plug in a Bombay Sapphire, we'd plug in a Gordon's without telling them what it is. So we did all that. We did those tasters and we realized, okay, this botanical works, this doesn't work.
Okay.
I really wanted black pepper to be in there, but it just didn't make the cut. But things like chamomile, people really responded to. Ginger, people really loved. Fennel, I remember the one that we did for Greater Than. Fennel worked really well.
Okay.
Turmeric was the surprising one. Turmeric, I never thought would go well in a gin.
Turmeric, I'm telling you, man.
Like turmeric's reputation.
Exactly. It's such a heavy lifter when it comes to all the spice things. It's like the Arnold of spices, dude. Turmeric, it does everything. It reduces inflammation, increases your lifespan by a week every time you have a tiny bit. It's an amazing thing. That's a doctor certified, by the way. Not Dr. Ann Brooks, but someone else.
Correct. No, I've been having a lot of turmeric via the gin. So hopefully
definitely you're going to live longer, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you,
it's
man.
all sorted.
Appreciate it. But yeah, so we did 120 different spices, and at some point we just had to say, listen, enough, because we can keep going. Right. You can just, you're in the land of spices. You can just keep going until you hit 1,000 and then still have more to do.
Yeah.
But we ended up kind of saying, all right, cut. And, let's just work with what we have and let's see what works. So that's how we came up with a recipe for Greater Than, which was 9 different botanicals. And Hapusa, which has 8 different botanicals.
Okay.
The juniper always has to be the core of it, right?
Okay.
Gin needs juniper.
Yeah, it's like the signature
unless
of a gin.
you're blue ribbon, in which case you need juniper flavoring.
Okay.
Which is basically a cold compounded gin.
Yeah.
For any distilled gin, which basically uses one of these, you need actual juniper berries. And typically the juniper would make up about 70% of your botanical load. Another 10 to 15% would be your coriander seeds. I'm not giving away exacts, because next thing you know, the two of you are making like I'm there doing a podcast.
We are just going to be borrowing your first still, Anand, just for like 2 days. Give it us for 2 days. That's it.
Exactly.
And when you mentioned the sourcing of botanicals, the thing that came to my head was when we were kids outside the school, you had this fellow with a handcart who had all sorts of berries, salted berries, and then star anise and what. I'm like, you're my R&D department. We're making gin together, man. That's my distillery. But you don't need to give us the right sort of specifications, just around the.
But 70% is gins. 70% is juniper. So juniper is the heavy lifter, right? Yeah. Juniper is very important. In fact, the word gin itself comes from juniper. Okay. So the Dutch, when they first made gin, they called it Geneva, because it was juniper Geneva, and then the English went and learnt it from them, and they called it Gen, which became Gin.
Oh, okay.
So that's see history lessons.
Yeah, damn. dude.
Now
The
at
English-
the party now, you guys will like, let me
Exactly.
tell you a thing or two.
One more thing.
Yeah, you don't need to. We always have that asterisk, dude. Like, party trick number one. You would never. And the English probably did not learn; they just took it. They've been known to do that.
This is where our turmeric went.
Oh yes, exactly.
Took all
This
our
is where.
spices.
Yes. So that is how you ended up choosing some of the botanicals for these two,
Yeah.
But as far as the Broken Bat series is concerned, who is a
That's
big cricket
insane.
fan over here amongst the,
Oh,
These two are footballers. Yeah, they used to.
Yeah.
okay.
Young.
I've just made lots of enemies right now.
Yeah, you are in Goa. Remember that, brother. So you're a big cricket fan, and what brought this on?
I mean, we were always talking about what next, right? What can we
Yeah.
play with, right? That's the whole point of craft, right?
Yeah.
What is the craft element about it? Is the creativity, right? So we're always looking for an outlet for for our creativity, and of course the outlet happens to be gin most of the times.
Yeah.
We had already launched at this point 2 limited editions. So 2020, we came out with the Juniper bomb.
Yeah.
Which was basically the result of a mistake. Not mistake, matlab,
Okay.
batti chali gayi.
Happy accident.
So happy accident in the sense that, we were distilling, lights went off, couldn't do anything. So we waited. Lights didn't come back on for the next 24 hours. And then we started again after 24 hours. And then we said, chalo, let's try it. And it was just like a,
Okay.
Juniper bomb. There was over extraction. And it was great. But at that point we said, we can't do this now because we were just launching greater than at that point. So we kind of stored that in our minds and then we came up with that. 2021 we came up with No Sleep,
Yeah.
which was we basically, when we distill from here, we get it at 81% ABV, which is strong. And we take it to the blending hall and we blend it down with water.
Okay.
To bring it down to 43% ABV, 42.8% ABV. We said, listen, why are we using water? Why not use cold brew coffee?
Oh.
Now that, let me tell you, before you continue, is a big thing for somebody who's like a coffee drink. Like I'm big on coffee. In the last 2 years, I've just been finding about beans and roasting, and North Karnataka is where I like to get the thing from. So if you're mixing alcohol and coffee, that is actually a combination I did not expect to happen in my lifetime. And it's an interesting thing, man. How does that even like work? What brought on the thing of why try coffee?
So our distiller here used to be Jay, and he used to love coffee.
Okay.
And he had at one point come up with this gin and tonic variation.
Okay.
Probably because he was quite sleepy. But he said, listen, we'll make a gin tonic, lots of ice, and we'll top it off with coffee.
Okay.
And we had it. It was great. But we had it after so we used to distill at night. So we would start at 6 o'clock and we'd end at about 12 o'clock. And then we'd go home, very close by only. So one of these nights, he's like, listen, I want you to try this new, gin and tonic. I tried it, had one, it was great. Had another one, it was even better. Ended up having 3 and then trying to go to sleep to get a flight in the morning at 6:30 a.m. Did not happen. And that is where the name came from, No Sleep.
No sleep.
So that was that. Then, so we're always kind of
Tried something.
fidgety. We're always trying to work around something or the other. And then we said, okay, wouldn't it be great if we made a barrel-aged gin? Now, barrel-aged gin is a thing that is around the world. It's there. It's, there are some interesting ones. There are some not so interesting ones. And we said, okay, let's try putting, greater than into a barrel. But then we said, listen, what's the point? I mean, like so many people have done barrel-aged gins. Oak barrel ka, it's not even like India has a massive tradition of oak barrels and stuff like that. So, why not try something else? So then we said, okay, why not try other woods that are available in India? And then we started thinking, okay, teak, we can do mango wood, we can do this, we can do that. And almost as a joke, I think I said, "Oh, we should do a cricket bat." You know, that's our tradition, right? At the end of the day, cricket bats. You bat लेते हैं, उसको अंदर डालते हैं. And then we tried it, and you know, basically we bought a cricket bat. We gave it to the carpenter. We said, "Listen, shave off all of it, break it up into little chips, and we put it in Sid's oven, toasted it just to get the nice oils out, and then put it in a vat of our small vat of our gin. Let it be there for about 2 months. Took it out, tasted, we're like, dude, this is good. In the sense, it's different. It's woody. It's great.
I did not know this, but again, reading about it a bit, whiskey is something that is dependent a lot upon wood. Considering like if you're able to source it well. At Glengoyne, they used to send across barrels to Spain. Then in Spain, they used to fill the barrels with sherry. Keep it for a long time, and then the Scottish fellow had a tear in his eye when he was telling us this thing at the distillery, and then they throw all the sherry away. And
they don't throw anything away. No one's throwing anything away. No.
Of course, it was drama. It was dramatized for tourists. You know, where he's selling a story, but it was almost like you know, and then they send the barrels back, and then we age our whiskey in it. And it hasn't been a big tradition over here, but it will definitely work. I mean, if you think about it, why not try it? And the what does it do to the gin? Like, what does it add to it?
Have you tried it?
I haven't gotten a chance to try it yet.
Are we allowed to try it?
Yeah. Of course.
We have a couple of those.
Since you're talking about Kashmir and basically your variants of gin, I've always been a fan of how you guys promote it and market it as well. Be it no sleep, be it like you guys started out by saying send us your bats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've wondered, like, you know, how important is the storytelling towards making a brand? Where does it, at what stage of making does it come in?
Or is it just awareness of the story, like that exists already? Like it's a good story to tell anyway. Like we are not trying to.
I think what we were very clear about was we were not going to fictionalize anything. You know, the good thing about being set up here is that we actually had the story to tell in the first place, as opposed to inventing a story to tell. So we definitely didn't want to fictionalize anything. That's broken bat. And yeah, I think we just have to generally tell the story from the beginning, you know, tell the story from the grassroots. So typically this is where the story starts. And
how difficult was it? Because the volume basically grew. Like you can't dictate your growth. It happens to you, right?
Yeah.
As far as
you have to hope for it.
You have to hope for it, definitely.
And
you can't dictate the volume of how that comes in. And Greater Than has grown quite a bit. In fact, that was a question I had in my head when it came to gin as well. Down south, if you go to look at it, big whiskey drinkers love the amber liquid. Up north, do you think there is I'm interested to know if there was a bias against white spirits. Like,
it's
was
not
it
a bias, but there's a bias towards brown spirits. There is this thing that, and I don't know if you guys went through it growing up, but you know, a little bit after the Breezer story, you know, there was this thing that, you know, for some reason boys are expected to have whiskey, right? And that is coming of age and everything. And I never understood it. Right? I remember very vividly, like, hanging around a friend's room, and you know, they're all like, I got, you know, my dad's Johnny Walker Black. I'm like, all right, okay, great, heard so much about it, you know, it must be wonderful, right? And then you have the first step, you're like, what the hell are they drinking? You know, what is going on? Why is this so popular? And I look around and the other friends are like, oh yeah, it's so good. I'm like, no, it's not, guys. Again, you need to develop a palate for that. I'm not saying whiskey is bad. Whiskey is great, right? But at that stage, I just did not have the palate for it. So I I don't know if the bias stems from this, the gender roles. I think that we're supposed to embody.
It's like Maslow's pyramid of manhood.
Maslow's pyramid. I don't know if that exists, Maslow's pyramid of manhood, but no, and I just think it's great that we're coming out of that. I think it's great that we're coming out of, this is a man's drink and this is a woman's drink and this is whatever. I mean, it's, what is it, 2022? Let's get beyond that and we can all drink whatever the hell we want. So that's the beauty of it. And if you happen to, if you happen to like whiskey, great. There's lots of really good whiskey out there, but you shouldn't be drinking whiskey because you're expected to drink whiskey, or you shouldn't be drinking wine because you're expected to drink wine. You should be able to have whatever you want, whatever you like.
Choice should be more on your mood rather than what would be expected from you by people around you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in any case, I mean, there definitely a lot of people who like their brown spirits. Especially in the South, when you talk about whiskey, you talk about brandy. You'll be surprised how many people are drinking brandy in Tamil Nadu. And to some extent, maybe that's where we started from this whole thing of, okay, wouldn't it be interesting if we made a brown spirit out of a white spirit? And, that's basically barrel aging. And that's where we came to this. So, if you may.
Cheers, man. Cheers to...
Cheers, guys.
Look a bit.
Acha.
Get your shoulders.
Cheers, guys. So, 47%, it's quite high.
Okay.
Typically, greater than is at 43%, and typically, I assume you guys are not drinking greater than straight.
No.
Right? So, this is you having it neat.
Okay.
You can put a cube of ice in it later or some Coke in there as well. Works really well.
Yeah, I approve of the using of cricket bats for this.
Yes.
Okay. You ever run out of cricket bats, dude, let me know. I'll steal from all of the kids in my locality. But this has to be kept on getting made.
Some sacrifices have to be made.
Yes.
So we basically, of course, we sourced cricket bats like this one here.
Yeah.
From people and we told them that, listen, we're turning it into a fence.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't give it away, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't give it away at that point. Now, of course, they know.
Yeah.
And they're getting, bottles of this in return. So they won't be too unhappy about us breaking their bat.
It's a fair exchange.
Yeah, it's not bad. But we also worked with a bat maker in Kashmir. Because we realized, they were using this much wood to make this much bat. So they have got so many offcuts.
Correct.
So we said, can we have that? And he's like, sure.
But I can earn money out of this?
Yeah. So
amazing.
So we took that and we toasted those as well, and we put them in the vat of gin.
Yeah.
And over 2 months becomes that nice golden color. What we like to say, sunshine in a bottle.
Yeah. That's a good way to go ahead. And in fact, you know what? We'll be clipping that and using that as an advertisement for sunshine in a bottle. It is pretty amazing.
But yeah, you can. I mean, we like to say it's the gin for your whiskey friend.
Yeah.
Right? So pop in, drink it as you would drink your whiskey. So cube of ice, cola if you're a Jack and Coke kind of guy.
Okay.
Thumbs up actually works really well with it.
Yeah,
it's great.
And the sweetness and the over carbonation might be helping it a bit.
I don't know what it is, man. It's just
Thumbs Up has a very weird nostalgic thing as well. Like I've never gotten it.
Yeah.
Like nothing about that brand makes sense in terms of logic. nothing, dude. Like, a thumbs up and then there's lightning involved and then
I didn't
you
know
have
for the
action.
longest time it was missing a B. Did you know? Thumbs up is THUMS.
Yeah.
No, it's supposed to be some sort of theory.
What theory?
Where people always say that, people always believe that, as you said, thumbs up is missing a B.
It is missing a B.
But Mandela effect. It's called the Mandela effect.
Okay.
That people always thought for the longest time that Nelson Mandela was dead. But it wasn't the case.
It was just chilling.
So there's like mass, what do you call them?
The belief. Everybody
Just
ends up-
belief, yeah. So one of those things is that thumbs up has a B or it's missing a B. But it was never the case as such. Even Kit Kat. Does Kit Kat have a hyphen in between?
No.
No, but most
I
people
have no
do
idea.
say-
Damn, bro.
Yeah,
I'm saying no because you are asking it in that
Yeah,
way. and I'm
exactly.
like,
Does it?
But like most people will say yes, it does. So that's supposed to be the Mandela effect.
But is there a B or no? There is no B,
There
right?
is no B.
There's no B, right?
There's no B. Yeah. But we always assume that there is a B when like writing down what.
Yeah, I just thought it was bad grammar, dude, and they stuck with it. They had already printed a couple
No,
of
somebody,
bottles. They were
yeah,
like,
somebody who drinks thumbs up will be like, fuck the B, dude.
oh yes, Thumbs Up has that incredible recall value abroad as well. Like
Huh.
if you go to some restaurants in LA and whatnot, Indian restaurants. will
Only
put
amongst
that-
Indians, huh?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
We've done this a couple of times.
Yeah.
Where we've given it to friends and be like, "What the hell are
Yeah.
you drinking?" We're like, "Don't you like it?"
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Anyway,
It has been the experience with a couple of like Indian alcohol brands also. You did not have many to share. Like most of the time, the exchange of experiences happened the other way around. Like you go abroad and then people abroad, your friends abroad, they'll introduce you to so many different things.
yeah.
But then there is a level after which like you can't introduce a lot of different drinking experiences, to people who've come from abroad. Like if you give them Feni or something, they'll just be like, okay, let's take a couple of steps back.
There's some
you
good
know?
Feni out there as well.
There
but
is
yeah,
in Goa, yes.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
There's some really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
You just have to go and find it.
Yeah, I mean, alcohol has been a part of. I've always been amazed at that. Alcohol has been a part of every culture, everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, in some shape or form. The idea of fermentation to ensure that you are just able to have that cheers moment with somebody.
Yeah.
In all shapes and form, man. So the first time that you decided to get into the alcohol business, what was your family's reaction like? Like, was it fine? Were your parents like okay with it?
I do remember, I think, and this was probably when I was trying to apply. Well, I was trying to get a job in the wine business, and I sent out 160 odd resumes, and just no one batted an eyelid.
Okay.
And I was a little bit stuck working at. I can say it, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you can.
working at Deloitte.
Okay.
I was there for a year, and I just did not like it, to put it mildly. It just, again, I'm just not cut out for that, and I really wanted to get behind a product, and I was really into brand management. I mean, I studied that in college as well, and I really liked it. And specifically, one of my professors in college had said, with one of my professors in college, we'd done a case study on New World versus Old World wine, about how Australia and the US came into the traditional wine world and rocked their happiness. So I really liked how brands evolved, especially in the wine space.
Yeah. The whole Napa Valley and Australian
Yeah,
grape
exactly.
thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, was a Yellowtail.
Yes.
Came in and just took over the scene.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, who's this kangaroo on the label?" But that's what people wanted. People wanted wine to be easier to understand, to be easier to identify, as opposed to lots of words, lots of confusion, lots of dates. So it felt like you needed to know everything there was about that label to really be able to buy that bottle and enjoy it.
Assumed barriers that
Snobby.
already existed between you and
So that's what got me interested in it, and I don't know. I think because my dad had always been in the corporate side, he was like, he was very happy with me being in Deloitte. But I think the first time when I said, "Hey, got a job," working at William Grant's, he's like, "Oh, okay, you're going to be selling whiskey." But I think then it also dawned on him that I'm going to be selling whiskey.
Exactly.
So I think it was a very, very low obstacle. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's not like me selling whiskey means that I have to go get drunk every other night.
Exactly.
So it's fine. I think everyone should be okay with it.
Of course.
I think that brings us to another question, that since you were marketing alcohol, and even now, you're trying to make awareness about a brand, or rather a category where advertising is so constricted. So how do you guys, what are the challenges you face, and how do you guys get over it?
Listen, I know everyone talks about how difficult it is because advertising is constricted. I am glad
Okay.
Advertising is constricted.
Okay.
I don't have the budgets to go and make an ad and like put it on TV in any case,
Huh.
or buy a billboard and put it up. So it's great. This is
That's such
not
a great reason to have.
not a hindrance to me at all.
Oh, great.
Because we're able to do things our way. We're able to do guerrilla marketing. We're able to have really fun events. Reach out to people at these kind of Gin Explorers Club, India Cocktail Week, Gin Sling, those kind of things, man. And that that
Gin
works.
Sling.
Gin Lane is something we did did recently as our own event, as our own sort of full blown event, where we took William Hogarth. William Hogarth basically created this bit of propaganda painting in 1751. Thank you. 1751, which just showed gin in a really terrible light. To say if you drink gin, it will be
Yeah.
Adult
This is
brains
how you will
losing
terrible,
everything.
terrible. And we said, listen, this is the one kind of artwork that's kind of defined what gin is to the art community for 250 years.
Yeah.
Can we not change that? And we set about doing that. We contacted 5 contemporary artists in India,
Okay.
and we said, can you recreate Gin Lane in a way that speaks to you? What does gin mean to you? Can you put that on canvas? And they did. And these 5 artists came up with such fantastic renditions of Gin Lane, whether it be fun and frolic, whether it be almost sci-fi, whether it be, there's a lot for us to think about in there. So that was great. We launched that a couple of months ago. The prints are still available. The signed prints are available on sale. I think if you go to our Instagram profile, you will find it. There is a link there somewhere which will lead you to the prints, and you can buy it there. And we need to put 2 of them up here as well in the distillery. So next time you come, we'll. You asked for one, Sid. There you go.
See, man, maybe like after a year or 2 more editions, Siddharth, and you'll get it for half price. Okay, that's what. Yeah. But that's pretty awesome to get in touch with artists. You are able to dictate how you want to market rather than have a typical template that you have to follow now. Like people always, whenever they want to promote alcohol brands, they turn to an advertisement with a couple of friends, and then they have club soda.
Like this.
Yes,
Mil-
we
mil-
have
mil
actual
baithe-
alcohol.
mil baithe 3 yaar.
Yeah, we have actual alcohol over here. You know why? Because YouTube has different rules. So you can most definitely at a distillery have alcohol, not be surprised by it.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, this is educational and research purposes now.
Yes.
This looks like we are in a big
I mean,
lab.
this is supposed to be the
On a table
testing
tennis
glass,
table.
right?
Yeah.
So what is this called?
Sorry?
Are these glasses specifically for tasting gin?
Yeah,
Like
the tasting glasses, yeah.
Yes.
They're tasting
Made-
glasses.
So this is education.
Made by Riedel. So, yeah, man, no, it's for us, it's a bunch of fun. I mean, it's great. We're so happy to be doing this. I can't imagine doing anything else. Because obviously, from the Deloitte days to, again, being very happy working for a brand like William Grant's, for a company like William Grant's, for a company like Remy Cointreau as well.
All of that would have helped you quite a lot in terms of taking the leap, right? In terms of work experience, at least, to get to know what big brands are going through in terms of how does it work entering a new market, and layout of if you're looking at pan-India distribution, what do you need to pay attention to, all of those things.
It's easier said than done. Yes, I knew what I was getting into because I'd been in the industry before.
Yeah.
But I really did not know what I was getting into.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like the kind of complexity that's there in India. To give you an example, let's say we're available in 12 states right now in across India. Each state has its own registration policy,
Yeah.
excise policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So each state we need to go in every year and say, hey, we would like to sell in your state these 3 bottles.
Wait, every year?
Every single year. And every year we need to pay them a registration fee
Okay.
of anywhere between 1 lakh to 14 lakhs for a year. Haryana 1 crore, which is why we've not entered there as yet.
Oh,
Damn, dude. Haryana, what are you doing, man? Come on, dude.
Well, it used to be 1 crore. It's now 55 lakhs or whatever. But whatever, we're trying.
Oh, thanks.
55 lakhs. Yeah, exactly.
55 lakhs.
You guys need to buy a lot more bottles, for this to happen. But yeah, so that then each label has to be different, right? So this one will say, for example, for sale in Goa.
Yeah.
The one in Haryana will have to say for sale in Haryana, which means we need to have a different label, and they will have different statutory this thing. So they will say, oh, you need to write liquor is injurious to health in Hindi as well. So we will do that.
Okay.
Delhi says you need to write in 4 languages. So Hindi, English, Punjabi, Urdu.
Okay.
Right. So every state has their own kind of
Weird rules. I mean, like
rules.
required rules,
are
but
weird.
like it's
but
just
they have their
variation.
own rules. Haryana, for example, says across the front of the label you need to say for sale in Haryana only.
Okay.
In red. And across the, it's just like, who's coming up with these rules, man?
See, somebody has a job.
Presumably, no one watching your YouTube channel.
Yeah, no one. Don't worry. Definitely not somebody.
Those people are not that fun.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, man, no, it's definitely a massive challenge. But I think we've been able to tackle it one step at a time, and it's great because when we launched 2017, we were the only ones, and while you might look back at it and say, oh wow, that was great for you, right? It's very scary when you are the only one out there.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly thinking, why am I the only one out here?
Yeah.
Right? Why are we the only gin here? Maybe we've done something wrong, right? Tomorrow we're going to get thrown in jail or whatever, or the other shoe is going to drop. So you're constantly waiting for that other shoe to drop to be like, what's coming my way?
Yeah.
And thankfully it didn't happen. Thankfully, what happened as a result was lots more people came into the gin space, and when in 2017 we were the only one, 2022 there are maybe 15 others.
Yes.
In the gin world right now, and the premium gin industry, I'm excluding Blue Ribbon and Blue Moon and all that. The premium gin industry has gone from 10,000 cases, and each case is 12 bottles, so you can do the maths yourself. But about 10,000 cases in 2017 to about 160,000 cases as of 2021.
Whoa.
So 4 years later, it's gone from 10,000 to 160,000. It is nuts, and we're only just beginning. I think as a gin community, not just as one brand, as a gin community, as a gin category, we're only just beginning.
So with so many gin makers in the market, are you guys looking like some sort of organized effort to be like, okay, let's try and get some negotiating around with regulators and whatnot?
It's not going to happen, again, we're very aware of our size and scale. I say 160,000 and it sounds huge, right? Because I just went from 10,000 to 160,000. I'm like, wow, it's so big. No, man, where gin as a category is less than 2 million cases.
Okay.
We are so premium gin is 160,000 out of that. You're looking at a market which is, overall, if you put whiskey, all of that, whiskey, vodka, brandy, rum, all of that together, we're looking at 300 million cases.
Okay.
They are still the bigger chunk of the pie chart.
We are small fry to the small fry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is why for a long time, actually, we were able to operate without anyone caring what the hell we were doing. It's only now that, people are like, hey, what's happening here?
How can
this grow?
Exactly. Yeah. What's happening here? So, that's where the conversation happened last year with Diageo, and this year, they actually invested in us, which was great.
Big move, man.
Welcome that with open arms, of course. And they've been great partners through this entire thing. They've let us kind of do our own thing, operate in our own way, and that's exactly what a brand like ours needs. What a company like ours needs.
Yeah, I mean they just look at whatever exists historically speaking. They've been doing it right. till now. There's no point in mucking about with it at this point of time. When they are already having an upward trajectory, and then being the new guy and coming in, and then it doesn't make sense.
If it's not broke,
yes,
don't fix it.
Don't fix it. Don't break it further either.
Just keep it.
Unless it's a bat, in which case you can break it.
Yeah.
Break it and put it in the vat.
Put it in the vat.
That is how it works. The idea of London Dry Gin.
Yeah.
Why is it called London Dry Gin?
Oh man, one of my favorite questions.
Like geographically, I've never understood why like a city would be a part of it. Like
So initially, also that's one of the things we thought about was to say, can we make London Dry Gin? Does it have to be made in London? It's got the name in it, right? But it turns out there's only 3 or 4 London Dry Gins that are actually made in London.
Okay.
The name comes from the style that originated in London.
Okay.
Which differentiated itself from the previous styles, which were not using neutral spirit, right? Because there's just the quality of spirit was not there. So previously, before London Dry Gin, you would actually have a lot of sugar in your gin, because otherwise it's just not palatable. So sugar would make it palatable.
Okay.
Right. So dry, for example.
There used to be like a neat gin culture before this.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool.
I'm
guessing.
Shots.
Capitalism
There was no Schweppes, there was no tonic, there was none of that. But basically, what would happen is you would have a lot of sugar in there. And when they first started improving the quality of distilling, which happened obviously in London, they realized, hey, we don't need sugar anymore, because we don't need to mask anything anymore. So dry actually doesn't mean sukha. It doesn't, because it's wet, right? It's liquid. It can't be dry, right? I mean, it's not powder. So dry actually means no sugar.
Okay.
So dry is when you talk about dry in wine, when you talk about dry in gin, whatever else, dry always means not sweet.
Okay.
Or no sugar.
All right. So lack of sugar.
Lack of sugar or not sweet.
Or
I think
not sweet. Okay.
It's one of those party things to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
When you
White wine is dry usually. Yeah. No.
red wine is usually more dry, but white wine can be a little off dry.
Oh, okay. All right.
Throw in that word, off dry, somewhere. But yeah, so London Dry basically means that it follows those protocols to make that gin. What are those protocols? One, you have to buy neutral spirit. So you have to start with neutral spirit, which is 96% ABV, very, very high.
Okay.
Do we have neutral spirit hanging around? You want to try
This is like the chemistry lab again, dude.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just, you have like some small beakers or glass or whatever, something like that. Oh, shit. No.
Oh, we need to rinse the glass out before we put the...
Rinse it out this way. All right. Now try that.
Okay.
You want to pour a little bit for them? Yeah. It's water. You can drink it as well,
Yeah.
Little bit, huh?
As much as is supposed to be.
As much as... I don't think this is supposed to at all. No.
This is the opening of the episode.
Yeah, I'd like to... Yeah.
Yes, this is the opening.
So this is 96%, huh? This is 96% ABV. This is our base spirit. So this is made with wheat.
Okay.
And when we start, don't stick your nose in it, man. There's no gonna be.
I don't know. I've just seen people do this.
You can't. So the whole point is it's neutral, right? So you can't really. You should not be able to smell much.
Okay.
A lot of the tasting, the sensory analysis that we do on this is on the palate. So we look for the creaminess or the crispness and all that. So take a very small sip, right? It's 90. It'll almost evaporate as it touches your tongue. Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Small sip.
This is so exciting.
Okay.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh man. Oh
It's
jeez.
a clap. Slap. Sorry, it slaps. You can pour some water in there and try and make sense of that. But again, you don't need to.
Yeah. Just this much is enough?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's
That
good.
will be fine. All right.
So now you can actually smell a lot of the aromatics, a lot of these levels.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely smells
Oh,
96 proof as well.
Wow, dude.
So we start with that.
Huh.
That's the first thing that's needed for making a London dry gin.
Okay.
Is neutral spirit. We bring that down to 48%.
Okay.
We put it in the copper pot still. That's the other element. The copper pot still is needed for making a London dry gin.
Okay.
The copper, as I said, absorbs all the impurities and sulfates and all of that, making sure that it's a really clean spirit at the end of it. We need actual botanicals. So we cannot use essences, you cannot use oils, you cannot use artificial flavors, natural flavors, nothing. You need actual botanicals that you throw in there.
Okay.
So when it's berries, it's literally berries. It's not like...
We've got juniper berries, we've got coriander seeds, all the other stuff that goes in there, lemongrass and chamomile, ginger, all of that goes into it actually. Sits there for 10 hours. The oils kind of come out naturally into the alcohol. And then we distill it. Now, after distilling, you cannot add any sugar. You cannot add any other flavoring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the 4 or 5 things: is neutral spirit, copper pot still, actual botanicals, no sugar, no flavoring after distilling.
Okay.
All right.
That's a London dry gin. So
And those are the parameters. As long as you meet them, you can call
can
your
make
gin
it in
London dry gin.
Yeah, and you can make it in Marga.
Yeah.
No problem.
That's pretty cool. As far as I was thinking about, like the 96 proof thing
It's
is
coming,
no, it's batting
So
out ideas from my head, dude. Like I had a thought, and now it's not there.
I had a question for this. Like now, since you mentioned even you had to figure out how to distill it, you had to go abroad, you had to talk, you had to get in touch with Dr. Anne Brook, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how difficult it is to get new people into the distilling game. Like in case you want to expand, in case you want to move, or
It's-
like just hiring people, talent. How scarce is that?
See, it's at least in India, it's not really been available. So instead, what we've been doing is working with people that are excited, that are keen to learn, including ourselves, that are keen to learn and have some potential there. There's no real course or something that prepares you to be able to do this in India, at least. I mean, there is outside. So Harriet Ward, for example, there is stuff outside. So me, for example, I studied commerce. I did not study science. I did not do all of that. I was never meant to be anywhere near beakers, and here we are. Sid did study science, right? So he should have been, but instead he was working at Indian Accent as a server. And he was excited to learn, and we just had a conversation. He said, "Listen, what does it take to be a distiller?" I said, "Do you want to be one?"
Yeah.
And he was, so he got that.
Damn, dude, that's pretty cool.
Anmol, who's joined us a year ago, it's almost a year, was a bartender at Kopita's in Bangalore.
Okay.
And again, when we met him, we had no intention of hiring anyone, and even he had no intention of leaving there. But our interaction was great, and he threw out a fact or a couple of facts that just stuck with us, and we were just like, that kid was smart, right? And a couple of months later, when we were looking, we just called him up and said, "Listen, would you be keen?" And he said, "Yeah, why not?" I was like, "All right, I thought you liked it." He's like, "Yeah, I love it, but I guess it's a really fun opportunity for anyone who's been around gin and drinks in general to be able to make one themselves. I know for me was I was ecstatic to be able to actually make it myself. And the number of pictures, of course, the number of pictures I take now is far lesser. But initially, number of pictures at the pot still and in the pot still, and, around the gin, and it's like, you can't really believe that you're doing it.
Yeah.
But it's
Brewing, bro.
It's distilling as a process, it would be involving a lot of logging in of information, right? Everything has to be followed up.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh yeah, I'm going to leave that drum alone for a month and come back and the job will be done. It doesn't work like that at all. Like,
No, it doesn't.
Like
no.
it is, it's complicated, man. Like you need to know what part of the journey the liquid is in.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to control that journey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll end up with product which you won't be able to sell.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work. So that is something that I think it requires that level of tenacity also to understand what's at stake with the logging process. At the beginning, it would have been was it difficult? Were there some instances apart from, of course, what you mentioned? Happy
The accidents,
accidents.
yes. No, actually, I mean, I think we were blessed with Anne Brock. I mean, she really, set things up watertight for us. Having said that, so that's more on the logging and, that's more on that part where, data information and all that has always been fairly watertight, touch wood. But things actually, I mean, like, for example, Agatha, she's our pot still.
Okay.
Agatha means good-hearted, and she's from
I
Hungary, so it's a
agree.
Hungarian word.
Thanks, Agatha.
We were told, when Agatha was installed, we were told never open that hatch.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've been told that.
Yeah.
Never ever open that hatch. Don't forget, touch that. Never open that hatch. And we said, yeah, go, great, super. But this was designed for cooler climates. This was designed for Hungary. This was designed for Europe, the US, which is where a lot of these pot stills are found. We had all sorts of issues with humidity, heat. We're sitting in an air-conditioned environment right now, mainly because of her, not because of us. It's not our comfort. It's her comfort.
All right.
And we discovered that the piping that we had put in place was not ideal to take all the botanicals out of the pot and outside.
Yeah.
How we discovered that was at the end of every cycle when we were supposed to clean out the pot, we would switch on the pump and it would clog. And we were like, damn. And then we would have to wait and then open that hatch, which we were never supposed to open. And by hand, pull everything out into those buckets, then throw that out. It was, the full first year was just chaos. Every time we knew something would go wrong.
I have more respect for every bottle of Greater than I have.
Especially those first few, man. And we would legitimately, I remember celebrating when there was one full distillation that went off without a hitch. Celebrating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because we were just like, wow, we don't have to stick our hands in there. We don't, like, it was great. But yeah, thankfully over time we've managed to iron those things out ourselves, and make it a lot more seamless and seem effortless.
Yeah.
Where we can sit here and talk while the distilling is going on.
Happening.
And no sparks are flying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And of course, that's also because you have other people running from the computer to the, checking up on everything.
Thankfully, yes. Thank you, guys.
I've really liked the way it doesn't look like at that price point. The bottle looks amazing.
Yeah.
Especially with the matte finish of the sticker and just the sheer look of it. Now, tell me if this is true or not. The greater than symbol that is being seen over here.
Yeah.
You can just be a tiny bit more crafty and just tell the people at malls and liquor shops to place the bottle properly, so that it stands in comparison to all the other brands and mathematically have it work for you. I mean, come on, math is telling you here what's the better gin.
We've done that a couple of times. Ourselves, definitely. We've gone into certain stores and just been like, I'm going to pick the bottle up from here and put it here.
There.
And just taking a picture of it slyly and being like, ha, 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 ha.
Just tagging all of those brands.
No.
That's too much. That's us comedian pettiness, you know. It doesn't work when it comes to...
Not at all. Not at all. It's all about, just for us.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. The name of, it all comes under the umbrella of NAO Spirits.
Yeah.
And now the word comes from like the idea of a boat.
Oh, well done.
Right?
Yeah.
So...
Did someone tell you this?
Sorry?
Did someone tell you this?
No. We have our
Well done.
sources.
Well
Some
done.
of them might be around you all the time and you wouldn't even know, my
All
man.
right.
You know?
All right.
So Anand, let's leave those secrets aside. But as far as the name is concerned, do tell us about that.
NAO Spirits?
Yeah. Why the name now? The idea of a boat. Because even when you look at the greater than symbol, if you look at it, it looks like a sail. You know. Like a ship, like a ship which has a full sail.
No, yeah, it's not that. So NAO Spirits was, because at that point we knew we were going to be based out of Goa.
Okay.
And we were making something that was coming from outside, right? Gin was never something that was invented in India, right? It was something that came from outside. So now is actually a word that also came to us from outside, right? Now is something that we all use. It's part of Hindi, part of different languages. But now actually was a word introduced by the Portuguese that made its way into the rest of India. Now was a carrack, was a big trading ship, in Portuguese, and the very first few ships that came in were naus. So now became, now for us. So we said we liked that idea. We liked the Portuguese connect with it as well, the Goan Portuguese connect with it as well, and the fact that it started from Goa and then spread to the rest of the country, and which is what we said. Okay, this is what home base for us is going to be Goa.
Correct. Yeah.
And we're going to spread all around. And we also like the fact that the naus, the Portuguese naus, were trading ships. And that we could literally imagine putting our bottles in there and taking it, in these naus to the rest of the world. So we look at now the company as a boat full of brands that we make.
Like Indian produce that is going about. Good Indian gin.
Good Indian gin. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Hapusa is, and the other variants also. I haven't tried the caffeine thing yet. I'm trying to hunt it down. Siddharth has promised me that he'll help me with that. In fact, probably we just came all the way over here just to be like, hey man, where can we get everything? Just tell us.
Fair enough.
And the podcast was just a ruse for it. Man, we're good on time? Yeah? Cool. Yeah. Anand, anything else that you would like to plug? I know there are these three things that you already have, and then the two which we don't have here, but they are available in the market. The No Sleep coffee thing and the Juniper bomb.
They're available in a very limited way. So I know Hansel, for example, has a shop here called Vaz Enterprise. Definitely worth going to if you like your booze. Very good stock. When we launched Juniper Bomb, he bought 50 cases.
Oh, damn.
And just kept it. I was like, what are you doing with 50 cases, man?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm going to release 10 cases at a time. So he's actually the only one right now who has Juniper Bomb.
He cornered the market.
Yeah, he has. To the extent, I'm buying from him. So we went and bought a case of Juniper Bomb from him, and and he's like, don't tell anyone I have more. I'm like, and here I am announcing it on a podcast, right?
Yeah,
not telling anyone.
Just storming his shop.
Yeah.
Just outside the line. And we know you have. Don't lie.
No, so I mean, it's there. I think Juniper Bomb, probably that's the only place you can now find it.
Yeah.
No Sleep, I think you can still find in a couple of shops in Bombay.
Okay.
Maybe in Pune. But Mahalakshmi Wines will have. There you go. Your guy, man.
Yeah. He's my guy. Introduced me to Hapusa and now this
well
as
done. So that's us, man. And every year, hopefully, we're able to produce one, if not two, limited editions. We were sampling some yesterday while when we got some time because this didn't happen. So we sampled some potential limited edition candidates for next year.
Oh, damn. There's something interesting brewing, huh?
Always, yeah, always.
Yeah, nice. Like the moment it drops, we will be here to cover that also. Like, hey,
Nice.
what new thing you made?
We are
man? Like,
cornering the next.
Yeah.
Nice.
We are in competition with Vaz Enterprises.
Oh yeah. We'll take 50 cases of this, okay?
Done.
We've learned from the Juniper bomb story. Thanks a lot for this episode, Anand. I'm pretty sure you had a busy schedule. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
And for anybody who's watching this, if you want to try out something else, a different alcoholic experience, do give Greater Than a shot. I know a lot of my friends do. I drink that, and it's a pretty awesome gin. So check that out. Hapusa is amazing. If you want a little bit of tiny little bit more to spend, buy Hapusa. It's better. It's nice. It's nice. It made us sail through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like we turned to that, to get through it. Follow Greater Than story. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be very big soon enough. They're already growing at a crazy rate. We need to get into the gin thing, dude. We are stupid. We are doing a podcast. We need to be making some sort of alcohol.
Now you have the recipe. Eh?
Yeah, now we'll be trying.
Done.
This is a hostage situation.
Yeah, this is a hostage.
Kick me out.
Thanks a lot. Anything
Thanks,
you
guys.
want to
So much,
plug?
Anand.
No, man. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for making the journey all the way here. 3 times now already. Third time
is the charm.
Third time is the charm. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers to Greater Than. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
It's not 96% now, no? No, it's fine. We put in water.
I did have it with water, and the water definitely helps.